Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your attendance. Good evening, councillors and executives, one and all, to the ordinary council meeting of the City of Canning held today, Tuesday, the 8th of April 2025. I'd like to declare the meeting officially open right now at 6 p.m. and start, of course, by acknowledging the Whadjuk people, the traditional custodians of the land, and by also paying our respects to elders both past and present. May I ask everyone here this evening to please make sure your mobile phones are turned off or at least on silent for the duration of the meeting. And of course, this meeting is being live streamed via the City's YouTube channel. Council meetings are public meetings and any information you should provide shall be recorded and may be publicly accessible. The council chambers are not a parliament and parliamentary privilege does not apply. Elected members and staff risk being held personally liable if their comments are found to be defamatory or to breach any duty of confidentiality. Statements made during council meetings are solely those of the person making them. Nothing expressed at a council meeting can be attributed to the city unless it is adopted by a resolution of this council. Elected members and employees must disclose any financial, proximity or partiality interest they may have in an item on the agenda and declare the interest at the commencement of the meeting or at the latest when the item is about to be discussed. And financial proximity and impartiality interests are to be disclosed in accordance with the Local Government Act. Elected members disclosing a financial or proximity interest must not participate in that part of the briefing relating to their interest and must leave the meeting for the duration of the item. The confirmed minutes of a council meeting are the official record of that council meeting. Verbatim minutes are not required. Nevertheless, the city does publish a full recording of the meeting. Recording of council meetings must not be copied, republished or reproduced without the city's express permission. At item 2, attendances, we do have an apology this evening from Councillor Yvonne Rodriguez, who was unable to join us this evening. And at item 2.2, we do have an approved leave of absence. Councillor Singh has previously had an approved leave of absence approved by this council for the period 10th of December 2024 to the 22nd of April 2025. At item 3, disclosures of interest. CEO, do we have any disclosures this evening?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've received no declarations of either partiality or financial interest for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Announcements by the presiding member at item 4, there are none. Reports of delegates at item 5. Are there any delegate reports that an elected member would wish to table this evening? None. Thank you. We'll move on to public question time. Responses to previous questions taken on notice at item 6.1. There are none. Questions from the public. I don't think there are any questions from the public. No questions from the public this evening. I don't propose, therefore, to open item 6.2. We shall move on to item 7, confirmation of minutes. And this is for the ordinary council meeting held on the 18th of March in 2025. The officer's recommendation appears on page 5 of the agenda and is now on screen. Councillors, can I have a mover, please, for that item? I'll move it from the chair myself. Can I have a seconder? Thank you. We'll put the item to the vote. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Mark Bain as the seconder. Apology is humbly accepted. We'll just take a show of hands, councillors. All in favour? Thank you, Governors. That is unanimous. All were in favour. Moving on to item 8, receiving of petitions, presentations and deputations. At item 1, petitions, there are none. Presentations at 8.2, there are none. Deputations at 8.3, similarly, there are none. Item 9, applications for leave of absence, none have been received. Questions by members of which due notice has been given at item 10, there are none. Items brought forward. At item 11, there are none, and reports of committee meetings, there are none tabled. At item 13, reports from the Office of the CEO, Michael Littleton. We start with 13.1, OC 005 of 25. The title of that report is to rescind freedom of information and public interest disclosure policies. The officer's recommendation is on screen. It also appears on page 7 of this evening's agenda. Councillors, can I have a mover, please, for that item? Deputy Mayor Bain, thank you very much. A seconder? Councillor Parkinson, thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I support the officer's recommendation, noting that the two policies proposed to be rescinded are overridden by the two related acts. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Parkinson, anything to add?
Nothing further to add. Thanks.
Thank you. In the absence of anyone else wishing to speak on the item, Councillor Hearn, yes?
I just have a question, please. So I see that both of these policies have been developed and adopted subsequent to the enactment of both of these pieces of legislation. So it seems to me that perhaps there is some history about what they were trying to address, and I would like to know if anyone can give me some kind of explanation on that, please.
Mr. Yildiz.
Thank you, and through the Mayor. These policies were adopted in 2013, and you're right, Councillor Hearn, they were adopted after the legislation was implemented and in place. A review of the policies pretty much restates the statutory positions and the provisions under the legislation. So we couldn't see any reason why they were required. There's no discretion to be exercised. FOI applications, as well as PID applications, need to go through the process that the statutory sets out. So looking back at the history, I think it was just to reinforce the positions that were in the legislation, but there's no specific reasons that we could find of why they were in place. The position from administration is that they are not required in any way, shape or form to undertake those actions under those statutory instruments. So from our perspective, we use the legislation instead of the policy to guide our processes to deal with those applications.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Let's put the item to the vote. Thank you. Would you like me to do a show of hands, governance? Just a few technical glitches here, councillors. Just give governance just a moment. Show of hands. By show of hands, thank you, councillors. All in favour? For the record, the matter has been carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, governance. We'll move on to item 13.2 whilst Karen Cornish struggles with technology. Item 13.2 from the Director of Ms Lorraine Driscoll, the Director of Corporate and Commercial. It's CC 006 of 25. It's the monthly financial report for back in February 2025. The officer's recommendation is on screen. Councillors, an absolute majority is required for the item. The recommendation appears on page 23. Can I have a mover, please? I'm happy to move the item from the floor. A seconder? Deputy Mayor Bain, thank you. Councillors, I speak in support of adopting the monthly financial report for February 2025. I have no further queries of the council or the executive. Deputy Mayor, have you got anything to add?
Yes, please, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of questions. I do support the officer's recommendation. Page 42, the Ferndale Crescent Metcalfe Road to Derrington Street project. It's noted that savings were made regarding that. Can some of that monies be used to replace missing median strip trees and fallen bollards, and also missing bollards as well?
Director Bowe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm happy to take those queries from the Deputy Mayor on notice and look to see whether or not we can reapply some of those savings.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yes?
And one more, Mr. Mayor. The warrant listings, I note $1,000 was provided to residents as part of the Verge Incentive Scheme pilot project. Are we going to employ any comms or promotional material regarding this funding? Thank you.
Director Bowe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We anticipate that we'll upload that information onto the website in the next coming weeks, Deputy Mayor. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, councillors. Let's put the item to the vote. No, I think we're there. Thank you, councillors. Just by a show of hands. That's all in favour, unanimous. Thank you, councillors. 8 in favour. We move to CC 007 of 25. The title of this report is Land Matters, in brackets Phase 2, close brackets, for Welshpool Road Duplication, Road Dedications. The officer's recommendation is on screen. It also appears on page 67 of tonight's agenda. Mover, please, for this item. Councillor Kunza, thank you. A seconder. Councillor Hearn, thank you. Councillor Kunza.
Only that I support the officer recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Hearn.
Also in support of the recommendation.
Thank you. Does anyone wish to ask a question or speak against the item? Let's put the item to the vote. Thank you. Yeah, just by show of hands, councillors. Thank you.
Back to old school.
Thank you. All in favour?
Seamless though, isn't it?
It is seamless, isn't it? Item 13.3, we have no items, no reports this evening from the Office of Director Bride, the Director of Planning and Development, so we move on to 13.4. The Office of Director Warren Bowe, the Director of Infrastructure and Environment. The first item is IE 006 of 25, request for tender RFT 04/2024 for electrical services. The officer's recommendation appears on screen and also appears on page 75 of tonight's agenda. Can I have a mover, please, for the request for tender? Councillor Page, thank you. A seconder. Councillor Parkinson, thank you. Councillor Page.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I support the officer's recommendation. Nothing further to add.
Councillor Parkinson.
Nothing further to add, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Hearn.
Just a question, please. So with regards to the split of the zones, we've gone with 1 and 2 versus 3. I understand there was some considerations around capacity and risk management there. Was there any consideration for perhaps a more equitable split, say 1 and 3 versus 2? Is there a reason behind that specific split?
Director Bowe.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And yes, there was Councillor Hearn. In fact, we asked the panel as to whether or not any of the other higher scoring submissions could have been awarded the contract. It was felt that having the single contract for North and South provided some operational efficiencies, in particularly only managing one contractor. And you'll see in the eval report, ultimately we decided to split the lighting contract from the general electrical services contract to lighten the load and distribute the load. And we believe that Surin was, it scored over 80 odd % in the evaluation criteria. It was a strong submission, so we thought that distributing the workload across the two contractors was efficient and effective for the city.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor.
Sorry, just one follow-up question. So you feel confident that Tritech has the manpower and whatever they need to meet that capacity of both zones?
Director Bowe.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the panel felt that, and so did we in assessing the evaluation report.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against the item? Thank you. We'll put the item to the vote. By show of hands. Thank you. Show of hands, thank you. That's all in favour. 8 in favour, none against, carried unanimously. Thank you. Councillors, we'll move on to the next item, which is, goodness me, the office of Mr. Gary Fisher. Congratulations. I think this is your first report. 13.5, Mr. Gary Fisher, the Director of Customer and Community. It's CO 001 of 25. The title of this report is the Rescission of Customer and Community Policies. There are 2. The officer's recommendation details both of those policies. That appears on screen. It also appears on page 81 of tonight's agenda. Can I have a mover, please, councillors, for that item? Councillor Shen Sekon, thank you very much. A seconder, Councillor Kunza. Councillor Sekon.
I agree with the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Kunza.
I also agree with the officer recommendation. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Let's put the item to the vote by show of hands. Again, that is all in favour. 8 in favour, none against. The matter is carried unanimously. Thank you, Council. We shall now move, can you believe it, to the final item of tonight's agenda, and that is notice of motion that I put just in relation to the recent decision of Council about the significant trees on private property. It's notice of motion 002 of 25. The title of the report is the establishment of policy to govern the financial incentives to protect significant trees on private property. I'll move it, obviously, myself from the chair. If I can have a second, I'll just speak to it very, very quickly. Deputy Mayor, thank you very much. Councillors, I fully support the decision of Council from the last meeting. Thank you very much for your consideration of that item. There was some talk in the report to Council about certain actions that would follow that decision. This just, in my mind, just provides clarity to the city in relation to how that process would work and what some of those considerations would be. It doesn't stray very much from what was earlier proposed, other than it just puts the matter of policy making firmly in the domain of Council, and I think probably that's a good thing. So that's all it is requiring, is just that Council comes together with the to provide some direction and clarity to the City of Canning's officers in relation to that review of our current policy, and just that we put in play all of the parameters needed in relation to Council's recent decision. Councillor Bain.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I support this notice of motion. As you mentioned, it does provide some guidelines and some framework as far as a review is concerned for ET 525, given Council's decision or resolution at the last meeting, and the inclusion of financial incentives to protect significant trees. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Kunza.
Can I just ask a question? How does what's proposed in those 4 points provide any direction that's different to what was has been discussed and presented by staff and endorsed by Council over the last 8 months?
Well, in my mind, Councillor, the motion that was put to Council didn't provide the sort of clarity required of a council to direct its staff, and I feel it patently moves away from what was actually put to Council, in that we, as a council, should lead the direction around policy of a council, and that is what this is actually doing. That is the answer to the question. I do feel that it actually moves away from that, and this motion provides clarity around all of the considerations that the policy should actually concur, and that would be about all the items mentioned in the motion.
Sorry, can I just clarify what moved away from, how was the Council endorsed resolution different?
Have you read the report, Councillor?
Your report?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I've just answered the question. If you'd like to speak against it, I'm happy to entertain that. But you've asked a question, I've responded to it. I don't propose to provide any more detail. I think the notice of motion is pretty clear. It sets out a policy direction which actually supports your motion from the last council meeting. I fully support the decision of council unequivocally. I'm just trying to build a framework of governance around it so that council gets to drive what happens from here. And I would have thought that would have been the clear direction of this council, that we would have wanted to do that. If you have a difference of opinion, then I'm happy for you to actually express that. You did ask the question. In my mind, I've answered it.
No, Mr Mayor, I speak very much in favour. I'm fairly perplexed that the notice of motion was put forward. There's never been in doubt that Council Policy E2545 needed to be reviewed and would be reviewed following Council's adoption of the financial incentive for the significant tree register, which we did last month. This advice has been consistently stated by staff at the various briefings that will review ET545 to outline the process and details to implement the chosen option, including budgetary provisions and guiding principles. It was also stated that further considerations needed by the City and Council regarding a potential clause requiring the landowner to reimburse the City the financial incentives they received should they subsequently wish to remove the tree from the register. As I said, I'm therefore perplexed while we're sitting here going over the incentive scheme again. With respect to the rationale provided in the NOM, I disagree with paragraph 3. There were no statements made to council regarding the concerns in relation to the governance of the item, the lack of clear direction or the recommendation provided. None of the issues in paragraph 5 were raised during debate. They were raised during your conversations to 6PR and ABC Radio, and obviously the intention to bring an item to council was raised with Gary Adshead. So when we consider the potential issues raised by the Mayor and that council considers part of the policy review, and I assume that's what the direction is provided in paragraph 5, I would like to make a few points. The point of the significant tree register is to protect extraordinary trees that meet the criteria to be considered as a significant tree. They aren't just any tree, and to point out this fact, the city has to date only identified 165 trees on all its land to place on the register, which represents a fraction of the number of trees we have across our land holdings. These trees represent a tree amenity value of $1.68 million, and if we were to pay the city for the protection of these trees on the register, it would cost $33,000 a year. Now, I don't imagine we'll get anywhere near this figure with respect to private landowners. To put that figure into perspective, the council of which the Mayor and I were part of adopted the urban forest strategy with an expected expenditure of $4.4 million every single year for 10 years to plant trees on public land to replace the 34.2 hectares of tree canopy cover we'd lose on private land. Now, trees on private land aren't just cleared for development, as I highlighted last meeting. These trees are removed simply because residents don't want to deal with the leaves and branches, and it's not confined to developable land as per paragraph 5 in one of the questions. Contrary to what was stated to Gary Adshead and his listeners, the registration of the tree on the register, as per the council resolution, does mean that the tree will receive an assessment from a qualified arborist and ongoing maintenance, if required, which may help the trees survive longer. If someone has 3 significant trees on their property and are happy to place formal planning protection onto those trees and protect them into perpetuity, then that should be welcomed. I don't know why we'd cap it. Now, the purpose of the planning framework is to provide formal protection to these trees on private land, and the landowner would be entering into that agreement voluntarily. Now, whilst the special control area within the rural residential area of Canning Vale needs to be properly considered with respect to this policy, it should be noted that Canning Vale has the second lowest level of canopy cover on freehold land in the entire city of Canning at a ridiculous rate of 3.5%. Many of the remaining trees are in the areas cited by the Mayor in his report, in his paragraph 5. Now, Canning Vale should be a priority for protection and retention of extraordinary trees. Now, most of the properties in the special control area in Canning Vale have a gross rental value figure of between $40,000 and $55,000 per annum, and they're paying $3,000 to $5,000 in rates. Now, getting $200 for a significant tree is not a get-rich scheme. I've no doubt Mr. Williams and his team have already been considering the implementation and required changes to policy ET 545 and look forward to hearing from them regardless of the outcome of this motion.
Thank you for your support of the motion, Councillor Kunza. Appreciate it. If anyone else wishes to ask a question or speak against, I'll entertain that. Otherwise, we'll put it to the vote. Yes, Councillor Hearn.
Well, I am mostly in favour of the development of a policy. I definitely think there are some things here that need to be clarified about whether the payments are indexed, etc. I also would like to see the inclusion of some demarcation of risk, particularly of tree fall. If we were to take on that maintenance, we recommend to the owner that the tree is unhealthy and needs to be taken down, and they don't choose to accept our recommendation. I feel like some of these things need to be explored, and I'd probably prefer that this policy came back to council for adoption rather than presentation at a SIB.
I think the purpose would be, I might ask the CEO to actually address that, but the purpose would be discussed and we'd be asked for our feedback before that occurred. CEO.
Yeah, that's absolutely the intent. Obviously, we'll present it to a SIB before the matters considered by council. For particularly any policy amendments will need to be adopted by council.
It'll be a draft, so we ask for your feedback on it, but all good points, and that's the reason why it needs to be reviewed. Thank you, Councillor Hearn. We'll put the item to the vote. Thank you. Oh, by hand, sorry. Show of hands. Thank you. That's all in favour. 8 in favour, none against. Thank you, councillors. The matter has been carried. Move on to item 15, which is urgent business. There is no urgent business this evening. Confidential matters at item 16, there are none. And at item 17, closure. There being no further business, I now declare the meeting closed at 6:24 p.m. Thank you very much. Thank you for attending.